Okay, this is the final book in the Talisman 2 series, The Dark Master's Vision. The story is written by Tammy Reese Frankfurt and the pictures are illustrated by Drew Wilson. Book number 10, The Dark Master's Vision. So, thinking back on the series, they started in Zach's village. They worked their way through the dark forest, across the gravel quarry, through the gorge in the wild mountains. They crossed the river. They went past Volcano Island towards the Dark Master's Forge. So this is where the series and the story is going to end. This is our reading practice. So we've got the sounds Jeune and Je. Contents. Chapter 1, A Wonderful Occasion, is on page number 1. Chapter 2, The Dark Master's Vision, is on page number 3. Chapter 3, Trapped, is on page number 5. Chapter 4, Leviathan Attacks, that's a tricky word, is on page number 8. Chapter 5, The Behemoth Strikes Back, is on page number 11. This is our new vocabulary for this week. Chapter 1, A Wonderful Occasion. Zach and Mim stepped through the archway. They came to an enclosure. All around them stones were scattered. The sight looked as if an explosion had taken place. In the middle of the enclosure stood a hunched figure. The hooded shape had its back to them. A purple glow lit him up like a haunted vision. The Dark Master spun round to face them. "What a pleasure it is to see you," he laughed. "A wonderful occasion. Tea, anyone? Please feel at home," he sneered, "as you will never leave this place." Chapter 2, The Dark Master's Vision. The Dark Master gazed at his treasure lovingly. The bony claws stroked the shiny new talisman. Every now and then, it gave out little purple sparks. "I had a vision," the Dark Master said. "Now it shall come to pass. I will rule the world, and you cannot stop me." Zach looked stunned. The Dark Master had already made a new talisman. He was too late. He thought he could save the world, but now he could see his quest was a delusion. The world was doomed. Suddenly, the Dark Master held up his talisman. There was a sudden rush of water. On all sides of the island, the sea began to rise. Zach and Mim saw the waters close into a swirling dome of water above their heads. They were trapped. Chapter 3, Trapped. The Dark Master transformed into an evil-looking Leviathan. It reared its serpent head and towered over Zach and Mim. Its lethal tail twitched with displeasure. The vicious tail swiped at them with the precision of a blade. Zach and Mim fell to the ground. Swish! The tail sliced the air. They ran this way and that, dodging the lethal weapon. Zach held up the talisman. What would he shapeshift into? What would be strong enough to defeat the Leviathan? Would the talisman make the right decision? Mim grabbed the stones scattered around her. Frantically, she began to hurl them at the Leviathan. Bang! She hit the Leviathan on its back. It spun round to face her. It was a vision of horror. Chapter 4, Leviathan Attacks. With a mighty roar, it sent a blast of fire from its angry mouth. It was like an explosion. Mim and Zach were lifted up into the air in slow motion. Then they came crashing down. Zach lay limp on the rocks. His vision was blurry. He held the talisman close. He pleaded with it. Talisman glowed in his hand. At last it had made its decision. Zack was transformed into the mighty behemoth creature. It had long tusks and big curly horns. The behemoth glared at the Leviathan. Then it sounded a loud trumpet call. It was ready for battle. First, the serpent attacked. It sliced one of the behemoth's tusks with the precision of a knife. Next, it tried to sink its fangs into the behemoth's leathery skin, but it was like armor. Then the behemoth attacked. Leisurely, he grabbed hold of the serpent's body with his huge claw, crushing its spine. The Leviathan roared in pain. Chapter 5. The behemoth strikes back. The serpent reared up to lunge at the behemoth. The behemoth lowered his horns. In the confusion of battle, there was a mighty collision. Crash! The Leviathan's tail twisted and twitched. Then it fell limp. Its body hung impaled on the lethal horns. The Leviathan slumped lifeless on the rocks. That was the end of the Dark Master's vision. The dome of water crashed back into the sea. 2 talismans clattered to the ground. Zack and Mim made a decision. Ready? Zack asked. My pleasure. Mim nodded. On the count of 3, they hurled the talismans into the deep blue sea. And that is the end of the Talisman 2 series. Thank you for listening through my tongue-twisted words during this book. The end.